Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Wednesday, April the 23rd, 2024. I'm doing this Thursday because Wednesday night wasn't happening. I was coughing way too much, and you can still hear my voice is a little jacked up, y'all. But guess what? I'm gonna make this quick. I'm gonna hit all the all the points. And for those of you that have been wishing me well, thank you so much. I did go to the doctor yesterday and got all I needed because she said it's allergies, right? It's some actual prescription cough drop, a medicine, their pills or whatever those stinking things are. Anyway, let's see when they really start to work. But let me get to what happened today before I start coughing. Okay. Now let's talk about Miss Lulu. Lulu got a house, y'all. Now, they're not saying we know she didn't buy it because Lulu doesn't have a job. Lulu's renting the house, but who's renting it to her? Because Lulu doesn't have a job. So what? Did Dante co-sign for her? Did her mother co-sign for her? Her mother hadn't seen the house. Laura came by, it was so happy. So I don't know how Lulu miraculously got this house, and it looks like it's in the country. Like it's a country kind of house. Um, the layout of the inside almost reminds me of Elizabeth, the inside of Elizabeth's original house before Jake, um, before it got burned down. Who burned down Elizabeth's house? I can't remember, but before her house got burned down, um, Dante was helping her get settled in, you know, fixing stuff, fixing her outlets, doing all kinds of things. And, she's so happy Dante's there. And she applied for a freelance job at the Landview Banner. Do we all remember the Landview Banner? Vicky Lord, the Lord family owned the banner. And then when Clint Buchanan came into Vicky's life, I loved Clint and Vicky together, by the way. Uh, Clint took over the banner because actually that's how they met. Clint was hired to take over the banner, and Vicky was it? What's her name? Victoria. Yeah, Victoria. I think they called her Vicky. Vicky wasn't too pleased because Clint Buchanan, they were like Texans. I think they were from Texas, the Buchanan family. And after Clint came, Asa came. But you know what? I don't know why I'm going on that whole history story about one life to live. But anyway, when she said Landview Banner, that just sparked in the whole One Life to Live. Because I did watch One Life to Live. I would watch all my children as a child, occasionally One Life to Live, but definitely General Hospital. Um, so let's get started. We'll see. So they picked her up as a freelancer. She pitched them three story ideas. They're 2,000-word stories. They picked her third story, which was a story on adoption journey. Of course she would do adoption journey. Of course she would. Cause see, Lulu is going to still try to expose Brooklyn, but publicly humiliate her. That's Lulu's. That's her whole. I can't stand Lulu. She has always been spiteful, just spite. I would not call Lulu vengeful. This last Lulu that played her. Now, the actress that played Lulu when she was a late teenager who looked just like Laura, that actress, I forget her name, she was more vengeful, played that character more vengeful. The last Lulu played her more spiteful. And Alexis Hayden is bringing spite to the forefront under the guise of That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. Yeah, it's what you meant. So she's going to try to expose, and actually, under the guise of this article, watch, she's going to try to find out who BOQ and Dante's son is. That's what she's going to do under the guise of a story. What a witch would it be, right? Now let's talk a little bit about Willow. So Willow comes home and she tells Drew that, oh, no. Before she tells Drew anything, Drew tells her, oh, by the way, I did something else for you. I updated the paperwork that I did for you last week. And I made it so that if anything happens to Michael and you, the kids come to me. I get custody of the kids. So they will never go to Carly. Never. And Willow just looked. She goes, well, but I mean, I don't really want to think about that. He goes, no. You're going to live a long life. And I'm thinking, you, and I'm going to say this word because, see, back in the olden days, this word wasn't a curse word. You bastard. Are you trying to plot a little accident for Lulu? I mean, not Lulu, Willow, for Willow? You are not even married to this chick. Okay. So, for one, she would not be able to just write in. Her kids are going to some Joe Doe. Okay. I don't care that he's an uncle. He is a uncle in the family. These kids have grandparents. And Nina does not have a beef with her mother. So, oh, here I go, guys. Here I go. So, why is her pea brain not saying, you know what? Wait a minute, Drew. If anything happened to both me and Michael, I want my children to be raised by my mother. You would at least think that, right? My mother. Because I know my mother would keep my kids together, right? Because I don't care what that son of a gun Drew says. Oh, I'll keep them together. Yeah, just like you keeping Scout with Danny. Yeah, you. I mean, with Rocco. No, Scout and Danny are brother and sister. Scout with Danny. Yeah, you'll keep Willow's kids together. So she says, "Well, okay, that's good, but can you pause that for now?" And he looked at her like, "Pause? Why?" It's important to have that set in place for the kids. And she says, well, because I've got something else I'm doing that's all I could think about first. Plus, I have to talk about that with Michael. And Drew was like, wait, what? She says, yes, I'm going to Germany and I'm going to talk to Michael. See, the best way to stop Carly is with Michael. So we got to put a pause on that. Okay. And I'm going to go and talk to my husband. Whoa, that H word for him was like hitting him with a silver bullet. And he was a doggone werewolf. Okay. Husband. She said, yes, he has to help. We got to talk about this. I've put it off long enough. And he turns and he's trying to get his face together, y'all. He had to turn away from her. uh okay, what brought this on, as he's trying to figure out what on earth, who has she been talking to? See, he's isolated her. Very few people get to talk to her, and he's wondering who's talked to her. Is it Nina? Who? Right? So he goes, well, he sits her down on the couch. This is different. What brought this on? She says, well, I took the kids to see Monica today, and I ran into Jason. Jason? She goes, yeah, I'm happy I did because I wanted to ask him to talk to Carly because if anybody Carly will listen to is Jason. And he and I were talking, and he suggested that really only Michael and I can decide this. And we haven't talked. And you know he's right. Well, there's a reason you haven't talked. Remember, Michael slapped you with divorce papers right after Christmas. Well, yeah, he did, but you know what? That wasn't Michael. Michael's not like that because remember, Michael also stopped Carly from preventing me in taking the kids. He let the kids go with me. Now that's Michael. Why is it nobody remembers Michael did what he did because you slapped him with official separation papers out the blue, didn't even talk to him about it? But see, she would say, well, Nina did that. But see, it's funny. People forget Nina started that ball rolling. Willow didn't, Nina did. Right? Now, yeah. Oh, the divorce papers? Don't be mistaken. Those are Michael's idea all along. Right? He's like, oh, heck no. And she's now in DC, took my kid. Oh, no. you know? So he goes, but Willow, you don't even know if Michael's going to see you. I honestly, I don't feel that conversation's going to go well. I think it's a mistake. She goes, really? You feel it's a mistake? No, he didn't say it first. The look on his face was like, mm. And she goes, what? Unless you feel this is a mistake. And he looks at her. Well, I just think the outcome is not going to be what you think it's going to be. That, yeah, that's for Jace. Jason said to do that. You know, and for the first time, and I'm not believing I'm saying this. Jason might have been right about suggesting talking to Michael, but I don't feel your reception is going to be what you think it's going to be. But you know what? That's fine. I'm going to book us a jet to Germany, private jet to Germany, plane to Germany. I'm gonna book us a nice spot. And he named the spot where we're gonna stay and all this stuff. And Willow says, well, wait, Drew. This is something I need to do by myself. Okay. This is not a vacation. I appreciate you wanting to handle all of this. She goes, but because first Willis, I got to book my plane. And that's when he go, oh, no, don't. I'm gonna, my plane ticket. Oh, I'm taking care of it all. I'm getting us a private plane and blah, blah, blah. And she goes, no, I need to do this on my own. And he stopped and he looked at her. And she said, because if Michael finds out you are with me, that's going to make the whole situation worse. And he looked at her. Well, if you think it would. He knew it would. That's why he wanted to do it. So she said, but I appreciate how much you want to look after me and how much, you want to make sure everything's taken care of, but I can handle this. So she steps in and they hug and he goes, well, okay, then I support you. And she goes, oh, that's why I love you. So and she's hugging him. He's looking, the camera's panning on his face behind her back. And he's just like, okay, what can I do? I ain't liking this. Yeah. Because she referred to Michael as my husband more than once while she was talking to Drew. So they end up, of course, hitting the sack. Because I'm thinking, okay, is he thinking we're going to hit the hay, even though it's mutually incentivized? Willow was, trying to lure him to the sack too, because she's feeling like this way I'm going to get Drew's approval. That's what she's really doing. And Drew's trying to figure out, okay, this way I'm going to manipulate Willow. So we got two things going on there, y'all, that the dynamic is crazy. So Drew's going to do something. And I know he's going to do something. For one, he has no authority in drawing up those papers dealing with Michael's rights. I don't care that he's dead. Michael has a will. And they did bring up Willow's still over Michael's medical. Why has Michael not changed that? That is ridiculously stupid. And for Diane Miller to be his attorney, that should have been the first thing she changed, or she had Michael change, was that medical proxy. There is no way it should still be Willow. None on this earth. Okay, now I did read in Comment Corner, and somebody wrote this, and I think it was maybe Lucy, but I hate naming names on who may have written things, because when it's not, then somebody comes in, no, that was me. But in this case, if it wasn't Lucy and it was somebody else in Comment Corner who gave this plot line, oh my goodness, I wish I could remember. What you said was Willow is going to go to Germany, and Willow's going to see the sonogram of Sasha's baby. And that's how she's going to find out about Michael and Sasha. Boy, that would be how soap operas would write that, wouldn't it? Now, if Michael could think fast on his feet, because she would say, she wouldn't know that's Sasha's baby. Unless somehow Sasha hand wrote on the back, Sasha's baby. He wouldn't, nobody would know. Okay. And Willow would be like, why is there a sonogram? Or a nurse, as she's going in, would say, oh, it's so nice to meet, Mr. Corinthos's wife. And it's great. It's really lifted his spirits with the sonograms you're sending. Although you would be able to look at Willow's skinny behind, and you would be able to tell sonograms are not from her, right? But if they write it the way they would write it, you know how sometimes the nurse's desk, when you're up at the nurse's desk, you're being checked in, or you're checking in to see a patient, the desk, the more countertop high, and you can't see below the chest. Then you couldn't see if Willow was pregnant or not. That's the only way that would work, because clearly Willow ain't pregnant. And Sasha's in her second trimester. And she would be saying, sonogram? And then when she would go in, she would ask Michael, why is it they're thinking I'm sending you sonograms? And what Michael should say is, Jason has been here, and he's told me about him and Sasha's baby. And I've asked him to just keep me updated. I would love to see the progress, because I'm happy for them. That would shut that whole thing down. That truly would. Because for all intents and purposes, Jason is acting like that baby's father. Right? Going to sonograms and everything else. So that's going to be interesting. But I think that's going to be Willow's first clue that something's up, because she's going to find out about the sonograms. Because you notice they mentioned sonogram last week. And you notice they mentioned, well, you sent the one before. So Michael has two. And now Willow's going. Jason needs to think. I need to warn Michael, which I think I would hope Jason would tell Michael Willow's coming to see you. But with Michael, Jason is so much into let Michael and Willow handle their things, their own marriage. I don't know if he would tell Michael, which he should, because Jason should know Michael has the sonograms. The last one could be sitting right up on his desk. I mean, the countertop in his room. Jason would need to let him know, you need to put that away. Willow's coming. Right? So anyway, we'll see how that goes. Now, Carly was livid. Jason goes to see Carly. Carly tells him what her plan is. And what Jason tells Carly is, Carly, you don't even know if that's what Michael wants. She goes, yes, I do. One thing I do know, Michael wants his kids. Okay? So I do know that. He goes, but you don't even know when. She goes, and Diane said that. Diane says it could be months before a court case could come up. At least it's in the works. So when Michael gets better, he could come home and step right into court, and could get his kids, because I know Michael, that's what he wants. So Jason's like, okay, but she goes, well, Willow's gonna go see him. And she's like, wait, what? Oh no. She goes, Willow and Michael need to talk, Carly. They have not talked. He goes, he says, Michael doesn't even want to see Willow. He goes, you don't know that. He said, because did Michael tell you that when you were there? She says, no, because it was too early in his treatment. Now, what I don't understand, do you notice everybody? Carly hasn't been back. Remember, she was going to stay there with Michael the whole time. She sure didn't, which was unrealistic anyway. How you going to stay there months? But she still hasn't been back, but she does talk to him. And she said she goes, Michael can't even have a conversation with her. The conversations are short. He goes, they may be short, but Michael conveys his thoughts very well. I've talked to Michael. Okay. And I happen to know Michael told me he still loves Willow. That's the problem. She's gonna get there. She's gonna cry. She's gonna be, and she's gonna get full custody. She's gonna get everything she wants from Michael. And so Jason says, Carly, you have to let Michael handle his own business. If he wants to give Willow everything she wants for now, that's up to him. He can always change things when he gets home, but it's his decision. He's an adult. Oh, she's just so mad. But, there's nothing she could do about it. And which was pretty cool. Now we have Tracy. I didn't like this. See, now this, I've liked pretty much everything Tracy's done since she's been back this time around, but this. Doyle sat down, is Doyle or Boyle or whoever he is, Oil, right? Sat down and was trying to talk his venom to Tracy. And she says, you know what? I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to hear nothing you have to say. She says, there's only one thing. She told him, sit down. He sat down and she just looked at him. Or she even told him, sit down. She said, there's only one thing or one topic that you speak on that we're in agreement with. Only one cause. And he says, what is that? She goes, to get Sonny Corinthos out of town. It's time for that criminal element to be gone. And he was like, ooh, okay, because, he's all on that. And so she says, I don't care about an espionage, the project. I don't care about it at all. She goes, and you probably are going to be surprised just how much the citizens of Port Charles really could care less where it's at, right? But what I do care about is running Sonny out of town. Well, I'm sorry. Just because you take his peers doesn't mean you're running him out of town, Tracy, right? So she writes him a hefty check. And Laura walks up and she sees this and she's like, Tracy, Senator Doyle, or council, no, not council, yeah, Councilman Doyle. And he goes, yes, I'm meeting with, a great constituent here, Tracy Quarterman. She goes, and I'm surprised, Laura says, I'm surprised you're meeting with the man that tried to decimate your family's crypt. And Laura said, Tracy says, tried is the operative word. And no, I haven't forgotten about that. But he and I share a common cause. And she sees the check, and Doyle says, I'm going to get right on what we talked about. She goes, make sure you do. So Laura sits down and says, what's the common cause? Or do I already know? Because Doyle made a dig on, you need to make sure it's, you realize what the constituents really want, and you get on the right side of it, Madam Mayor. And so what Tracy said to Laura is, he's right. Laura, you are not hard enough on crime, and your relationship with Sonny Corinthos is going to cost you. And Laura's like, you let me worry about that. But what I'm saying is, what you paying Doyle money? Let's talk about what it's going to cost you and what's going to cost the citizens of Port Charles. She says, Sonny may not be like the optimal person you like or want. He goes, because what he did to my family, he killed AJ. Now, mind you, I couldn't stand AJ, but AJ was a Quartermain. She's naming all this personal stuff. So Laura said, okay, Tracy, and that's a lot of personal history with your family. I'm talking about for Port Charles. He is a criminal element, she says, but let's talk about that criminal element. Sonny has been a stabling force in Port Charles. Sonny, Tracy goes, yes, I know. He's against drugs and he's against guns, and Laura says, all of which he has kept out very effectively in Port Charles. So I'm saying this, Tracy, the criminal, at least you know what Sonny has done for this community. What about the criminal you don't know? She goes, because I could tell you Jen Sidwell is trying to take over Sonny's territory. And Tracy just looks at her because she knows Jen Sidwell approached her. She says, and Jen Sidwell is ruthless and he is a monster, Tracy. A monster. So you would be letting in someone 10 times worse than Sonny Corinthos ever is. And Tracy had the nerve to say, maybe, but I would rather roll the dice on the devil I don't know than the devil I do. And I thought, now see, that made no sense, Tracy. That made no sense. Because everything Sonny did with your family was personal issues. Jen Sidwell is going to make it his business to bulldoze and reshape Port Charles the way he wants it. And EOQ could be next on his hit list. There we go, Tracy. There we go. So needless to say, Laura got nowhere with Tracy, and we knew she'd get nowhere with Tracy. Well, Nina meets with Portia, and they're talking. Fine, we got to do something about Drew. And I'm thinking everybody keeps saying we got to do, and nobody's doing right. This is some tea with lemon and honey, and I even have some emergency thrown in this tea. Okay, I'm trying. So, um, Nina and they're like, but we've got to come up with something. And Nina notices this really pretty chick walk by the table with her and Portia. I may have called Portia Jordan a minute ago. Her and Portia. So she looks like, I recognize her. So she goes over to the bar with Doyle or Boyle or Oil, cares. Uh, and Portia's like, So Nina goes, excuse me for one moment. So she walks over to them. She goes, excuse me. Um, I have a question for you. And Boyle says, we're busy right now. We don't have time. She goes, no, I'm not talking to you. Questions for her. What's your name? And she goes, why? She goes, what's your name? You're a model, aren't you? So she says what her name is, right? It looks like she should be a Brittany, but she didn't say Brittany. And so she goes, who are you represented by? Because I own Crimson Magazine and we look for models such as yourself. Are you represented by an agent? And she goes, no, I'm by like pretty freelance. She goes, you know what? And Doris says, I said we're busy. Nina just, you know, ignored him. She took out her card. She goes, here's my card. Give me a call. So the girl looked at her and said, like, oh, okay. So Nina goes and sits back down. And Portia says, trouble with Drew must not be that much if you could conduct Crimson business, right now. And so Nina says, mm-mm. She goes, look, see that woman there with Doyle? Well, that's no ordinary woman. When I was part owner of the Metro Court, I had to have her removed off the premises multiple times for conducting her brand of business. And Portia looked at her. She goes, is she an escort? Slash hooker, right? But, escort, I guess if you're free, whatever. Escort's a nicer name for it. So Nina looks at Portia and says, yep. And she goes, and she is with Councilman Doyle? And she says, uh-huh. She says, I think we have a way to take down Drew Kane. Congressman Drew Kane. And Portia looks at Nina. Nina looks at Portia. And I'm thinking, good in theory, but guess what? Drew won't fall for her. Drew's not like that. Drew wants to be somebody's savior. He needs them to worship him. Now, they might have to school, Nina would probably school her into saying, making sure she's Drew's type. There's a problem that Congressman Kane can solve for her. See, now that would work. If it's something that he could come to the rescue, Drew will do it. So we'll see. We'll see how that little plot works or takes off or doesn't work or whatever. But that's it, everybody. That's all that I wrote down for the notes for Wednesday. I'll be back right on track tonight with my daily recap for Thursday. So I'll be back again.